Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of Black Bag? Released on March 14, 2025, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. On March 14, 2025, a film arrived that would captivate audiences, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape of espionage thrillers. Black Bag, directed by the masterful Steven Soderbergh, emerged with an intensity that demanded attention from the moment its first frame hit the screen. This wasn't just another spy movie. It was an intricate, high-stakes exploration of loyalty, betrayal, and the moral ambiguity that plagues the lives of those who operate in the shadows. It combined meticulous storytelling, breathtaking performances, and unexpected twists to create a cinematic experience unlike any other. At its core, Black Bag takes the conventions of the espionage genre and turns them on their head. The film introduces us to George and Catherine Woodhouse, portrayed by Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, two of the most formidable agents in the British intelligence service. On the surface, their lives seem perfect. They are not only partners in their covert operations, but they share a deep, seemingly unshakable bond as husband and wife. But this image of perfection is shattered when George is faced with the unthinkable. Catherine, the woman he loves, is accused of treason. Suddenly, the very fabric of their relationship is tested in ways neither could have anticipated, forcing George to question everything he thought he knew about his wife, his country, and even himself. Soderbergh's handling of this premise is nothing short of masterful. He weaves together a narrative that is equal parts heart-pounding action and psychological exploration. The film doesn't rush to reveal its secrets. Instead, it gives us a slow burn, pulling us deeper and deeper into a world where nothing is as it seems, and the stakes are impossibly high. As George navigates his moral dilemma, torn between loyalty to his wife and his duty to his country, the tension builds, keeping us on the edge of our seats, wondering just how far he is willing to go to uncover the truth. At the same time, the film keeps us guessing about Catherine's true nature. Is she guilty, or is she being set up by someone far more dangerous? The performances of Fassbender and Blanchett anchor the entire film, infusing their characters with depth, complexity, and vulnerability. Fassbender brings an intensity to George that is palpable, capturing the agony of a man who is forced to confront the possibility that the woman he has trusted more than anyone may not be who he thought she was. Blanchett, on the other hand, plays Catherine with a quiet, enigmatic strength, making us question her every move. Is she the perfect wife or the perfect spy? The chemistry between these two actors is electric, making their relationship the emotional heart of the film. But it's not just the leads that shine in Black Bag. The supporting cast, including Marisa, Tom Burke, Naomi Harris, and Pierce Brosnan, adds another layer of richness to the story. Each character has a role to play in the increasingly tangled web of espionage, and their interactions with George and Catherine reveal new facets of the story with every passing moment. Naomi Harris, in particular, delivers a standout performance as a fellow intelligence officer who may or may not be a friend to George. Her character's motivations are unclear throughout the film, and Harris masterfully navigates the ambiguity, leaving the audience constantly questioning where her allegiances lie. The film's plot twists are relentless. Just when you think you've figured out what's really happening, Soderbergh pulls the rug out from under you. There's a constant sense of unease, a feeling that everything you see is a carefully constructed illusion designed to mislead both the characters and the audience. And as the story builds to its climax, the stakes become higher than ever. The final act is a thrilling, unpredictable roller coaster that brings everything together in a way that is both satisfying and haunting. Every choice made by the characters, no matter how small, feels like it could have catastrophic consequences, and Black Bag keeps you questioning whether anyone in this world is truly innocent. Visually, the film is a work of art. Soderbergh's signature style, minimalist, moody, and atmospheric, enhances the tension and intrigue that permeates every scene. The cinematography is dark and immersive, with shadows often swallowing up the characters, emphasizing the dangerous world they inhabit. The camera moves fluidly, drawing us into the action while maintaining a sense of detachment, as if we are watching these events unfold through a veil of suspicion. It's a visual style that complements the film's themes of distrust and paranoia. And then there's the score, which pulses with an almost hypnotic rhythm, further heightening the sense of impending doom that hangs over the entire film. But what truly sets Black Bag apart is its ability to delve into deeper philosophical questions about the nature of loyalty and betrayal. The film challenges our assumptions about what it means to be loyal to one's country, to one's spouse, and to one's own sense of morality. George's internal conflict is mirrored by the external chaos of international espionage, where allegiances shift like sand underfoot, and the line between right and wrong is often indistinguishable. Soderbergh doesn't provide easy answers to these questions. Instead, he forces us to confront the uncomfortable truths that lie beneath the surface. In the world of Black Bag, there are no heroes, only people trying to navigate a world that's far more complicated than it first appears. Since its release, Black Bag has become more than just a movie. It has become a cultural phenomenon. Audiences have been captivated by its complex characters, its unpredictable plot, and its exploration of themes that resonate on a deeply human level. The film's blend of espionage thrills and psychological drama has made it a standout in a genre that often relies on cliché and spectacle. Black Bag offers something more, something richer and more thought-provoking. It's a film that doesn't just entertain, but challenges its audience to think about the world in a different way. For those who love intricate storytelling and thought-provoking narratives, Black Bag is a must-see. It's a film that rewards close attention, offering new insights with every viewing. Whether it's the intricacies of its plot, the layered performances of its cast, or its haunting exploration of morality, Black Bag is a film that demands to be experienced and discussed. It's a movie that will stay with you long after the credits roll, forcing you to question your own beliefs about loyalty, love, and truth. In the world of espionage, nothing is ever truly black and white, and Black Bag is the perfect film to show us that. For those who haven't yet seen it, now is the time to experience Black Bag in all its complex, thrilling glory. It's a cinematic journey that promises to surprise, disturb, and ultimately leave you questioning what you thought you knew about the world. And if you've already seen it, there's no better time than now to revisit the film and dive even deeper into its many layers. Because with Black Bag, the more you look, the more you find, and it's a journey worth taking. In the opening moments of Black Bag, the film wastes no time in establishing its high-stakes world of espionage, where every decision could be a matter of life or death. Directed by Steven Soderbergh, the narrative grips us immediately with a haunting sequence that sets the tone for the entire movie. A world where trust is fragile, and the stakes couldn't be higher. A tense, clandestine meeting takes place in an underground room, a dimly lit space that casts long shadows over the characters, mirroring the moral ambiguity they're about to face. This mysterious gathering sets the stage for the complex web of deceit and betrayal that will ensnare George and Catherine Woodhouse. George and Catherine, played by Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, are the heart of this labyrinthine tale. They're not just partners in life but elite operatives in British intelligence, trusted with some of the most dangerous and sensitive missions in the world. They've worked together for years, their bond forged not only through shared passion but through their deep understanding of the demands of their high-risk profession. Their marriage is a delicate dance of professionalism and intimacy, built on a foundation of mutual respect and unspoken trust. Yet, within the first few minutes of the film, we sense that something is off. There's a subtle unease in the air, a tension that neither of them can fully shake off. A conversation over dinner, meant to be lighthearted, is filled with subtle undercurrents that hint at the fragility of their perfect world. Their world, however, is about to shatter. The first bombshell hits when George receives a call late one evening. It's from a government source, someone close to the investigation. The message is simple, but its implications are vast. Catherine has been implicated in a major national security breach, suspected of being a traitor. George's face hardens, his mind immediately racing through the possibilities. But he can't afford to react. Not yet. He needs answers. He needs clarity. But the more he digs, the more questions arise. Is Catherine truly guilty? Or is she the victim of a larger, more complex conspiracy? What follows is an electrifying sequence where George is forced to reckon with the possibility that the woman he has spent years working beside, someone who knows him better than anyone else, might not be the person he thought she was. The trust they've built together is suddenly called into question, and George's world is turned upside down. This initial revelation is a gut punch that sets the stage for the entire movie. It doesn't just challenge George's relationship with Catherine, but it forces him to confront his own identity and the life he's been living in the shadows. He's no longer just an operative. He's a man trying to navigate a minefield of emotions, loyalty, and morality. As George delves deeper into the investigation, his suspicions grow. The first half of Black Bag is a slow burn, a meticulously crafted tension that builds with each new piece of the puzzle. George is confronted with cryptic phone calls, shadowy figures, and an ever-widening network of deceit that seems to stretch across multiple continents. He discovers that Catherine's ties to the intelligence community may be far more complicated than he ever imagined. The woman he thought he knew, the woman he loved, might be playing a far deeper game. But as the investigation unfolds, so too does the realization that nothing is as it seems. Each lead George follows seems to take him down a darker, more twisted path. At times, he's left questioning his own sanity. Could Catherine truly be guilty of the crimes she's accused of? Or is she the pawn in a larger game he doesn't fully understand? One of the pivotal moments in the first half of Black Bag occurs when George confronts Catherine about the accusations. In a tense scene filled with raw emotion, Catherine remains calm, composed, but her words carry weight. "You know me better than anyone, George," she says. "You know I would never betray this country." Yet, there's something about her demeanor that makes George and the audience question her sincerity. Is she truly innocent, or is she playing him? The uncertainty in her voice, the fleeting glint of something hidden behind her eyes, leaves us with more questions than answers. As George continues to dig deeper into the investigation, the film introduces other key characters, all of whom seem to have their own agendas. The most notable of these is Naomi Harris's character, who works alongside George within the intelligence community. She's resourceful, sharp, and knowledgeable, but there's a certain coldness to her interactions with George. While she provides him with vital information, there's always a sense that she may have her own reasons for doing so. Is she truly a friend, or is she simply another player in a larger game? The ambiguity surrounding her character adds another layer of tension to the film, keeping both George and the audience on edge. Meanwhile, the ever-present threat of international espionage looms over the film. A shadowy organization, whose motivations remain unclear, is revealed to be pulling strings behind the scenes. George soon realizes that the accusations against Catherine might be part of a much larger scheme, one that spans multiple countries and involves some of the world's most powerful people. The more George uncovers, the more he is drawn into a global conspiracy that threatens not only his own life, but the lives of those he holds dear. The tension escalates with each passing moment, and the sense of paranoia begins to consume George. Everyone is a suspect, and no one can be trusted. One of the film's key sequences takes place in an abandoned warehouse, where George and his team are tasked with meeting an informant. The atmosphere is thick with dread as George, flanked by his colleagues, waits in the shadows, unsure of who will walk through the door. Every creak of the floor, every distant sound, makes the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. As the minutes drag on, the sense of unease builds. This is a world where every encounter could be a trap, and every word could be a lie. When the informant finally arrives, the scene is electric with tension. The information he provides, while crucial, only adds more layers to the mystery surrounding Catherine's involvement in the larger conspiracy. By the time we reach the midpoint of Black Bag, the stakes are impossibly high. George is no longer just trying to clear his wife's name. He's trying to survive in a world where everyone seems to have their own hidden agenda. The lines between friend and foe are increasingly blurred, and the more George learns, the more questions arise. Is the conspiracy truly global, Or is George simply being manipulated by forces far more powerful than he can understand? The first half of the film leaves us with a growing sense of dread as we realize that the answers George seeks may be more dangerous than the questions themselves. The pacing of the film is deliberate, allowing each piece of the puzzle to fall into place with a sense of unease. Every conversation, every encounter with a new character, feels like it's a step closer to uncovering the truth. But the more George uncovers, the more tangled the web becomes. The revelations come fast and furious, but Soderbergh knows that sometimes the most thrilling moments aren't the ones filled with explosions or gunfire. They're the moments when the characters are forced to reckon with the consequences of their actions. As the first half of Black Bag concludes, we are left on the edge of our seats, wondering what's next. George is deep in the heart of the conspiracy, but the twists that lie ahead are yet to be revealed. Every decision he makes from this point on will have far-reaching consequences, and the stakes are higher than ever. What started as a personal investigation into his wife's alleged betrayal has evolved into a full-blown international crisis. One where no one is safe and nothing is as it seems. The first half of Black Bag sets the stage for what promises to be a breathtaking, unpredictable journey, leaving us eagerly anticipating the next twist in the story. The second half of Black Bag pulls the audience deeper into its intricate web of espionage, emotional turmoil, and the relentless pursuit of truth. The stakes have reached a boiling point, and the narrative takes on an even more urgent and unpredictable energy. As George Woodhouse continues to navigate the complex labyrinth of deceit, alliances shift, secrets unravel, and the tension between loyalty and betrayal intensifies. What began as an investigation into his wife's supposed treason has now morphed into a high-stakes global conspiracy, where nothing is what it seems, and everyone has their own agenda. The turning point of the film arrives when George finally confronts Catherine in the aftermath of his discovery that there's more to her involvement in the affair than he initially believed. Their meeting takes place in a secluded location, far from prying eyes, and the atmosphere is thick with emotion. There's a sense of finality in the air. George wants answers, and Catherine is forced to come clean, albeit reluctantly. The conversation is filled with tension, each word carrying the weight of years of shared history, love, and deception. In a gut-wrenching moment, Catherine admits her involvement in a covert mission that had been far more dangerous and morally gray than either of them could have anticipated. She explains that the allegations against her are not as clear-cut as they appear, and that she's been working within a covert group that's been playing both sides, operating in the shadows of international politics. This revelation shatters George's perception of everything he thought he knew about Catherine. At first, he struggles to process her words, unable to comprehend how the woman he once trusted above all else could have kept such a monumental secret. But as the pieces fall into place, he begins to understand that Catherine's actions were driven by a larger sense of duty, not just to her country, but to a cause she believed in more than anything else. This isn't a betrayal for the sake of betrayal, but a series of calculated decisions made in the name of something much larger than either of them. Yet, even as George grapples with this truth, he realizes that Catherine's actions may have placed them both in far more danger than they ever anticipated. The emotional impact of this confrontation cannot be overstated. The trust that once bound George and Catherine has been fractured, and the world they built together seems to be crumbling before their eyes. Their relationship, once solid and filled with unwavering faith, is now shaken to its core. There is no easy path forward, and both characters find themselves at a crossroads. This conversation between them, which might have been a simple resolution to a misunderstanding, instead becomes a pivotal moment that sets the tone for the rest of the film. It's clear that the resolution will not be straightforward. There are no easy answers in a world as morally complex as theirs. After their confrontation, George is forced to make a series of increasingly difficult decisions. The revelation about Catherine's involvement with a covert group, one that has been manipulating political and corporate systems for its own gain, sends ripples throughout the intelligence community. George's allegiance to his wife and his country is torn, and he must decide whether to expose the truth and risk everything he's ever worked for, or to bury it all for the sake of his own survival and the fragile remnants of his relationship with Catherine. As George digs deeper into the conspiracy, he uncovers more disturbing truths about the shadowy figures pulling the strings behind the scenes. One of the film's most gripping twists comes when George uncovers a link between a powerful international corporation and the covert group that Catherine has been working with. This organization, which has been operating under the radar for years, is revealed to be manipulating political leaders, military officers, and intelligence agents to serve its own interests. The corporation, disguised as a legitimate business entity, has been behind a series of global events designed to further its economic and political dominance. This revelation turns the entire film on its head. What initially appeared to be a straightforward case of treason now seems to be part of a much larger, far-reaching plot. In an explosive sequence, George uncovers a hidden facility where the corporation conducts illicit experiments and manipulates key figures in power. The visuals are stark and chilling. The sterile, cold environment of the facility stands in sharp contrast to the emotional chaos brewing within George. His discovery of this hidden truth forces him to confront the possibility that Catherine, despite her involvement in this dark world, may have been trying to expose the very organization that was controlling their lives. This moment is a game-changer. It shifts the narrative focus from George's personal turmoil to the larger, global-scale conspiracy that has been slowly unfolding. The pace quickens as George navigates the complex network of espionage and corporate intrigue. In one particularly heart-pounding scene, he and his team infiltrate a high-security meeting of global leaders, hoping to gather critical evidence that will expose the corruption at the heart of the conspiracy. The scene is tense, as George and his colleagues move through the heavily guarded facility, knowing that the slightest misstep could lead to their capture or death. The weight of their mission is palpable. This is not just about saving their lives anymore. It's about saving the future of nations and millions of innocent lives who have been unknowingly caught in the crossfire. However, not all the characters in George's orbit can be trusted. Naomi Harris's character, whose ambiguous motives have plagued the narrative since the beginning, is revealed to have a deeper connection to the corporation. In a shocking twist, it is revealed that she has been working with the organization all along, feeding George false information to keep him in the dark about the true extent of the conspiracy. This betrayal cuts deep for George, especially as he had begun to trust her as a confidant and ally. But this moment also serves as a reminder that, in the world of Black Bag, loyalty is a fragile and fleeting thing. No one can be trusted, not even those who seem like the most steadfast allies. The emotional weight of the second half is undeniably heavy, and as the climax approaches, the stakes become impossible to ignore. George and Catherine's relationship reaches a tipping point. They can no longer operate in the same way they once did. What began as a love story between two devoted intelligence agents has now become a struggle for survival, trust, and redemption. Their final confrontation, in which they must decide whether to expose the conspiracy and risk everything, or to protect themselves and their future, is a gut-wrenching emotional reckoning. Every word spoken between them carries the weight of their entire journey, and the resolution is anything but neat. In the final act, the conspiracy begins to unravel in unexpected ways. As George and Catherine face off against the powerful forces behind the plot, their fates become increasingly uncertain. The tension between personal sacrifice and duty reaches its peak, as both characters must come to terms with their choices. In a heartbreaking final scene, they make a collective decision that will change the course of their lives and the future of the intelligence community. The resolution, though not without cost, serves as a poignant commentary on the price of loyalty, trust, and the human desire for truth in a world that thrives on deception. By the time the credits roll, Black Bag has taken its audience on an emotional, intellectual, and action-packed journey. The second half of the film masterfully ties together the various narrative threads, weaving a story that is both personal and global, intimate and grandiose. The film's exploration of trust, betrayal, and the complexity of human relationships is nothing short of extraordinary. It's a journey that leaves the audience with lingering questions and a sense of awe at the intricate storytelling that has been unfolding before them. The emotional weight of the film's resolution is powerful, leaving us to reflect on the sacrifices made, the truths uncovered, and the enduring question: in a world of lies, can anyone truly be trusted? In Black Bag, the characters are more than just pawns in a high-stakes espionage thriller. They are the beating heart of the film, each with their own complex motivations, personal struggles, and transformative arcs. From the deeply emotional journey of George Woodhouse to the enigmatic nature of Catherine, the characters evolve in ways that captivate and disturb in equal measure. As the plot unravels, so too do the layers of their personalities, revealing truths, secrets, and vulnerabilities that drive the story forward. At the heart of it all is the intimate portrayal of these individuals, where no one is truly good or evil, but rather a product of their choices and the world around them. The performances bring these characters to life in unforgettable ways, imbuing them with depth and nuance that resonate long after the credits roll. George Woodhouse, played by Michael Fassbender, stands as the emotional anchor of Black Bag. From the very first scene, his character is painted as a man who has given everything to his career in intelligence. He's not just a husband, father, or spy, he's a man defined by his duty. George is a character trapped between two worlds. On the one hand, he's a dedicated, highly skilled operative, working for the government with a sense of righteousness. On the other, he is deeply tied to the woman he loves and whom he thought he knew completely. His love for Catherine is not just personal. It is woven into his sense of identity. They are partners both in the professional realm and in life. It's not just their marriage that is at risk when Catherine is accused of treason, but George's entire worldview. This is a man who, despite the hardened exterior his job demands, is consumed by emotion, whether it's his unshakable devotion to his wife or his internal moral battle as the truth about her involvement begins to unfurl. Fassbender's performance is a revelation. He captures George's torment with remarkable subtlety, threading through his character a sense of fragility beneath the hardened, stoic exterior of a man used to operating in the shadows. In every scene, you can see George wrestle with a quiet but insistent disillusionment as his perception of Catherine begins to shift. Fassbender's ability to convey the internal turmoil of a man who has to reconcile his duty to his country with his undying love for his wife is a masterclass in restraint. His slow burn performance takes the audience on a journey through raw, vulnerable moments, which ultimately explode in moments of confrontation, revelation, and despair. There are subtle shifts in his expressions, from moments of quiet contemplation to explosive bursts of emotion, as he grapples with the heart-wrenching truth about the woman he's loved and trusted for so long. What makes George's arc so compelling is that it's not just about solving a mystery or uncovering the truth. It's about his personal reckoning with the man he has become. As he navigates the increasingly complex situation, his sense of identity, once unshakable, begins to erode. He's no longer just an intelligence officer working to uncover national security threats. He's a man who must decide between loyalty to his wife and loyalty to the country that has been his life's work. By the film's conclusion, George's journey is one of profound transformation. He starts out in the film as a man who places duty above all else. His career, his marriage, everything he believes in. But in the end, he is forced to reconsider everything he thought he knew about love, loyalty, and the world in which he operates. Equally compelling is Cate Blanchett's portrayal of Catherine Woodhouse, the enigmatic wife who becomes the center of this intense emotional and political storm. Catherine, initially presented as the picture of elegance and control, is far more than a supporting character in George's journey. She is the catalyst for much of the story's conflict, and her arc is one of the most intricate in the film. At first glance, Catherine seems like the perfect partner, both emotionally supportive and professionally skilled, an ideal match for George in both personal and professional realms. But as the investigation into her alleged treason unfolds, it becomes clear that there is far more lurking beneath the surface. Is she truly guilty of the betrayal she's accused of? Or has she been framed in a larger scheme she can barely comprehend? Blanchett, as always, is a master at portraying complexity. Her performance as Catherine is a balancing act of vulnerability and strength, a woman who has been forced to navigate a labyrinth of dangerous, morally gray choices. Catherine's motivations are never fully clear, even as we learn more about her. Is she a victim of circumstance? Or is she a willing participant in a far-reaching conspiracy? Blanchett's subtle, nuanced portrayal keeps the audience on edge, never allowing us to settle into a clear understanding of her character. Her calm, collected demeanor, often giving little away in her expressions or words, becomes both her greatest strength and her greatest vulnerability. As George's investigation forces Catherine to confront the secrets she's been hiding, the emotional toll on her is palpable. The strain on her relationship with George, the years of shared trust now threatened by betrayal, adds layers of heartbreak to her already tumultuous journey. By the film's end, Catherine's arc reveals a deep personal sacrifice, one that forces her to choose between survival and redemption, love and duty. Supporting characters are also crucial to the film's depth, adding intrigue, tension, and complexity to the already fraught situation George and Catherine find themselves in. Naomi Harris delivers a standout performance as Claire, a fellow intelligence officer who appears to be an ally at first, but whose true motivations are gradually revealed. Claire's role in the story is one of the most fascinating because she, too, operates in the shadows, and her relationship with George becomes an ever-shifting game of trust and manipulation. From the start, there's something off about Claire's interactions with George. She is too knowledgeable, too certain of her own position. Over time, it becomes clear that Claire is not simply an innocent bystander in the conspiracy. She has her own hidden agenda, one that ultimately leads to a shocking betrayal. Harris imbues Claire with an air of cold calculation, making her every interaction with George feel like a carefully constructed chess move. When her true loyalties are revealed, the emotional impact of her deception hits George hard, forcing him to confront not only the betrayal of his wife, but also the betrayal of someone he considered a trusted ally. Claire's role in the narrative is pivotal, representing the blurred lines between trust and manipulation, and Harris plays her with chilling precision. Tom Burke's portrayal of Lucas, a shadowy figure from Catherine's past who may hold the key to unlocking the truth, adds yet another layer of tension to the story. Lucas is a character shrouded in mystery, his motivations unclear, but his connection to Catherine's covert work makes him an essential part of the puzzle. As George begins to realize that Lucas may hold vital information, their interactions become increasingly fraught with suspicion. Burke plays Lucas with a quiet menace, never revealing too much, but always hinting at deeper knowledge and potential danger. His presence adds an air of unpredictability to the narrative, leaving the audience wondering whether he is a friend or foe, and what secrets he might be hiding. Pierce Brosnan's portrayal of General Calloway, a high-ranking officer who oversees intelligence operations, adds gravitas to the unfolding political drama. Calloway's loyalty to the country is unquestioned, but his role in the larger conspiracy remains ambiguous. Is he complicit in the plot, or is he simply another pawn in the game? Brosnan brings his signature authority and depth to the role, making Calloway a figure to be reckoned with. The ambiguity of his character adds another layer of intrigue, as George must navigate the complex dynamics of power and loyalty within the intelligence community. Each of these supporting characters plays a crucial role in the larger story, not only pushing the plot forward but also providing depth and emotional resonance. They are not mere sidekicks or plot devices. They are integral to George and Catherine's journey. Through them, we see the complex, often murky world in which the characters operate, where loyalty can shift in an instant and trust is a fragile commodity. As the story unfolds, each supporting character adds to the larger sense of paranoia and uncertainty that permeates the film, making Black Bag feel like a world where no one is safe and no one is truly who they seem. Ultimately, Black Bag is a film about the human condition, the choices we make, the relationships we build, and the secrets we keep hidden. The transformations of George and Catherine, alongside the performances that bring them to life, are what make the film unforgettable. Their motivations, their flaws, and their personal journeys resonate deeply with the audience, as we watch them navigate a world where nothing is black and white, and every decision carries monumental consequences. The supporting characters, too, add layers of intrigue, ambiguity, and emotional depth, making Black Bag not just a thriller, but a nuanced exploration of trust, betrayal, and the moral complexities of human nature. As Black Bag unfolds, it doesn't just tell a gripping tale of espionage and betrayal. It subtly rewards its viewers with hidden details, clever callbacks, and cultural references that enrich the story and offer layers of meaning to those who take the time to look closely. While the surface of the film is a tense thriller, beneath it, there are countless Easter eggs and symbols designed to add depth to the experience. Each discovery is like a small treasure waiting for those with a keen eye, rewarding them for their attention to detail. These hidden elements are seamlessly woven into the narrative, serving both as subtle foreshadowing and as a way of enriching the thematic content of the movie. One of the film's most notable hidden details is the recurring motif of mirrors and reflections. From the opening scenes, where George Woodhouse is first introduced, there are frequent moments in which characters find themselves framed by reflective surfaces. In one particularly poignant scene, George stares into a window reflecting his own image, but the reflection distorts, symbolizing the fracture in his identity as the investigation into Catherine's alleged betrayal unfolds. This motif of fractured reflections becomes more pronounced as George's perception of the people around him, particularly Catherine, begins to shatter. It's not just a visual flourish. It represents the emotional fragmentation George experiences as the lines between loyalty, love, and betrayal blur. Catherine's character, too, is tied to the theme of reflections. In one scene, she is shown in the glass of a framed photo of her and George, and as she gazes at the image, the reflection of her face is fractured by the edges of the frame. This small but powerful visual cue foreshadows her own inner turmoil and the realization that her loyalty to her country and her love for George cannot exist side by side without consequences. It's a moment that speaks volumes, revealing her internal struggle before the full weight of her secrets is laid bare. These reflections also tie into the larger themes of perception versus reality, a constant undercurrent throughout the film. Black Bag thrives on ambiguity, with characters hiding their true intentions, motivations, and emotions behind carefully constructed facades. The reflections serve as a visual metaphor for the duality of these characters' lives. Much like the mirrored images that appear throughout the film, their public selves and private selves are often at odds, and this tension between the two creates an underlying sense of unease. Another hidden detail that sharp-eyed viewers will catch is the subtle influence of political thrillers and espionage films from the 1970s. Black Bag does not just exist in a vacuum but instead draws on the cinematic language of films like The Parallax View, 3 Days of the Condor, and All the President's Men. There are certain stylistic choices that pay homage to these classic political thrillers, such as the use of grainy film textures in some of the flashback scenes, or the deliberate pacing in key moments that mirrors the slow-burn suspense of these older films. These nods are not overt but present enough to be felt, creating a sense of cinematic continuity with the genre while simultaneously giving the movie a timeless, almost nostalgic quality. This retro influence is particularly evident in the film's soundtrack, which blends modern electronic compositions with orchestral scores that evoke a sense of the 70s-era thrillers. The score's tension-filled string sections and haunting melodies often mimic the soundtracks of classic espionage films, with eerie, minimalist cues that seem to reflect the psychological complexity of the characters. At one point, a specific cue echoes the score from the conversation, signaling an intense moment of revelation and foreshadowing the looming danger that George will face as he gets closer to the truth. These subtle musical and stylistic references create an additional layer of enjoyment for anyone familiar with the genre, rewarding longtime fans of spy films with a sense of cinematic kinship. Throughout the narrative, the movie also makes several nods to real-world intelligence history and covert operations. For instance, during a tense meeting between George and an informant from a foreign intelligence agency, the informant drops a seemingly innocuous line, "I've heard about what happened with the Ziegler Protocol." To the casual viewer, this might seem like just a throwaway line. However, for those in the know, the mention of the Ziegler Protocol is a subtle nod to real-world covert operations during the Cold War, specifically referencing the Ziegler Papers, a set of leaked documents that revealed international espionage tactics used by agencies like the CIA. This clever callback not only adds authenticity to the world-building of Black Bag, but also serves as a reminder that the film exists within a larger history of spycraft and global political intrigue. Another clever foreshadowing moment comes in the form of a recurring visual: the use of certain numbers. In several key scenes, characters are seen interacting with objects marked with numbers, such as the street address of a safe house or the code on a locked file. These numbers are far from arbitrary. They point toward the film's final twist, where it's revealed that the conspiracy George is investigating is far older and far deeper than he could have ever imagined. As George pieces together the puzzle, the numbers begin to make sense, tying back to a covert operation launched decades earlier that serves as the foundation for the film's events. For attentive viewers, these seemingly minor details provide clues to the true scope of the conspiracy and offer a subtle breadcrumb trail leading up to the film's climactic revelations. The film also contains several references to literature, particularly works of spy fiction and dystopian novels. George's favorite book, which he frequently references throughout the film, is a 1960s-era espionage novel that deals with themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the loss of identity in the world of covert operations. The book's protagonist, an operative much like George, finds himself caught between personal duty and the larger, more sinister machinations of the political world, much as George does in the film. This literary reference not only provides deeper insight into George's character but also adds layers to the movie's examination of identity and the cost of personal sacrifice in the world of espionage. The book is mentioned several times, with George quoting it during pivotal moments when he feels conflicted about his actions, subtly suggesting that he is becoming increasingly like the troubled protagonist of the novel. Yet another Easter egg comes in the form of a visual callback to the classic film The Manchurian Candidate. In a key scene, George is shown in a dimly lit room, staring at a vintage map of Eastern Europe that seems to mirror the one used in The Manchurian Candidate, where a key assassination plot is revealed. The map is a visual shorthand that taps into the Cold War paranoia that serves as a thematic backdrop for Black Bag. It's a subtle reference, but for those familiar with the genre, it adds a layer of depth to the film, emphasizing the film's exploration of manipulation, control, and the blurred lines between reality and perception. Perhaps the most ingenious Easter egg comes at the very end of the film, when the truth about Catherine's involvement with the covert organization is revealed. In a final, quiet moment between George and Catherine, the camera lingers on a photograph of the couple taken during their honeymoon. It's a tender, personal moment, but upon closer inspection, the background of the photograph contains a reflection in a mirror. The reflection is warped, distorting the faces of both George and Catherine. This subtle detail reinforces the film's overarching theme of fractured identities and the deception that has defined both of their lives. It's a heartbreaking reminder that the couple, once united in love and trust, are now irreparably changed by the secrets that have come to light. These hidden details and Easter eggs serve as more than just clever nods to the audience. They deepen the emotional impact of the story and enhance the film's thematic exploration of perception, identity, and betrayal. They create a richer, more immersive viewing experience that invites viewers to look beyond the surface and engage with the story on a deeper level. Whether it's through visual motifs, subtle references to espionage history, or literary allusions, Black Bag offers a treasure trove of hidden gems that reward those who take the time to uncover them. These details are not just for show. They are integral to the story, offering new perspectives and insights that elevate the film to a level of complexity that transcends the genre. The production of Black Bag was anything but ordinary. Behind every frame, there was a sense of anticipation, a palpable energy, and a series of unforeseen challenges that shaped the final product in ways few could have expected. While the film's gripping narrative and high-stakes espionage story captivated audiences worldwide, the journey to bring it to life was marked by strange occurrences, creative hurdles, and unexpected twists. From casting decisions to location challenges, there was an aura of unpredictability surrounding Black Bag, and each moment behind the scenes contributed to the film's enigmatic feel. One of the most fascinating aspects of Black Bag's production was the way the filmmakers approached the complex world of espionage. The film's director, known for his meticulous attention to detail and love of psychological thrillers, insisted on creating a world that felt both authentic and ominous. Yet, achieving authenticity in the realm of secret intelligence meant having to navigate uncharted waters, especially when it came to working with the intelligence community. For most of the film, the team found themselves operating in tight secrecy. Not only did they have to keep the plot under wraps, but they also had to ensure that the intelligence tactics depicted on screen were as close to real-life procedures as possible, without compromising the privacy of ongoing operations. To achieve this level of authenticity, the production team enlisted the help of former intelligence officers as consultants. However, the involvement of these ex-spies led to a series of bizarre, and at times humorous situations. One particularly strange instance occurred during a sequence that involved surveillance tactics. The film's director had asked for a scene to be shot from the perspective of a hidden camera, but when the consultants were brought in to oversee the scene, they seemed less concerned with the details of the shot and more with ensuring that the film didn't inadvertently reveal too much about actual intelligence techniques. In one case, a former agent pulled the director aside and asked him to modify a scene, warning that if the sequence were filmed exactly as planned, it could risk exposing a legitimate surveillance method that the government still used. The scene was adjusted accordingly, and the film's portrayal of espionage tactics became even more enigmatic, creating a sense of tension that went beyond the narrative itself. Of course, these adjustments weren't always seamless, and there were moments during filming when even the most experienced cast and crew were left scratching their heads. One of the most notable challenges came when the production team had to shoot scenes in a cold, dimly lit warehouse that doubled as an interrogation room. The location was chosen for its authenticity, as it mimicked the kind of spaces used for covert operations, but it turned out to be much more difficult to work in than anyone had anticipated. The temperature inside the warehouse was freezing, and the entire cast had to endure bone-chilling conditions during some of the more intense scenes. Michael Fassbender, who portrayed George Woodhouse, was particularly vocal about the freezing conditions, joking that the only thing that kept him in character during his interrogation scenes was the sheer physical discomfort. Yet, Fassbender's commitment to his craft paid off, and his performance in these scenes, a mix of frustration, vulnerability, and determination, became one of the most iconic moments of the film. Adding to the intensity of the filming environment were the long shooting days. One behind-the-scenes story that has since become legendary on the set of Black Bag revolves around the late-night scenes shot in a secluded, industrial district. Cate Blanchett, who portrayed Catherine, had been working 14-hour days for weeks, and during one particularly exhausting stretch, she had to film a tense, emotionally charged confrontation with Fassbender's character. As the clock ticked past midnight, exhaustion was taking its toll on the cast and crew. At one point, Blanchett, who is known for her meticulous approach to every role, turned to the director and said, "I'm going to give it one more shot, but I can't guarantee anything. I might fall asleep right in front of you." The director, a longtime collaborator with Blanchett, smiled and encouraged her to take a moment to recharge. The result? A moment of cinematic magic. Blanchett nailed the emotional depth of the scene in a single take, despite her fatigue, and the take was ultimately used in the final cut. Her performance became even more riveting for the rawness and vulnerability it conveyed, a testament to her professionalism and commitment to the craft. Speaking of Blanchett's performance, another fascinating behind-the-scenes story involves her intense preparation for the role of Catherine. The character of Catherine, a woman who must juggle love, loyalty, and a dangerous web of espionage, required a deep dive into the psychology of a woman caught in a moral dilemma. Blanchett, known for her dedication to every role she takes on, spent weeks in seclusion, researching not just intelligence operations, but the emotional toll they take on individuals. She even spent time with psychologists who specialized in trauma to better understand how people can compartmentalize their lives when faced with such overwhelming decisions. One little-known fact is that during her research, she came across a book about the psychological effects of being undercover for years on end, a concept that would directly inform her portrayal of Catherine's mental state. In one scene, Catherine is shown struggling to recall a moment from her past, and Blanchett's portrayal of this brief lapse in memory was a direct result of her research into the real-life psychological effects of long-term covert operations. However, not all of the behind-the-scenes stories were as serious as Blanchett's research or the freezing warehouse conditions. One of the more humorous moments came when the cast was shooting a particularly intense scene in a high-rise building overlooking a sprawling cityscape. The scene required Michael Fassbender's character to look out over the city, lost in thought, reflecting on his fractured marriage and the weight of the investigation. The shot was planned to be powerful and symbolic, But as Fassbender stood at the window, staring out at the city, a bird flew into the frame, landing on the windowsill right in front of him. For a split second, it felt like a magical moment, one that perfectly captured the fragile balance of George's emotions. But then, without warning, the bird proceeded to do something completely unexpected. It pooped right on the glass. The crew burst out laughing, and Fassbender, ever the professional, tried to keep his composure. The scene was, of course, reshot, but the bird's cameo became an inside joke on set, symbolizing the unpredictable nature of the film itself. It was a reminder that even in the midst of tension and drama, moments of levity can emerge unexpectedly. As with any high-profile production, Black Bag was not without its share of controversies, some of which sparked heated debates long after the film's release. One such controversy arose from the film's portrayal of government surveillance and intelligence agencies. Given the film's overtly political themes, some critics and viewers took issue with how the film seemed to blur the line between fiction and reality. The film was accused of sensationalizing the real-life practices of intelligence agencies, with some arguing that it portrayed covert operations in a manner that might fuel distrust and paranoia about government surveillance. In the months leading up to the film's release, there were even reports of some government officials expressing concern over the movie's depiction of intelligence operations, fearing it could inadvertently expose sensitive tactics or undermine public trust. On the other hand, the film was praised for its nuanced portrayal of the emotional toll that espionage takes on individuals, particularly those in personal relationships. Some critics found the film's exploration of George and Catherine's marriage, fraught with secrecy and mistrust, to be an insightful commentary on the personal costs of a life built on lies and deception. The film's emotional complexity was lauded as one of its greatest strengths, with many highlighting how it subverted traditional spy thriller tropes by focusing not just on action, but on the inner turmoil of its characters. Despite these controversies, Black Bag ultimately became a beloved and widely discussed film, with viewers drawn not just to its thrilling narrative, but also to the behind-the-scenes journey that brought it to life. From the freezing cold warehouse to the unexpected bird cameo, the production of Black Bag was marked by moments of tension, humor, and inspiration, each contributing to the sense of unpredictability that makes the final product so compelling. In the end, these strange facts and behind-the-scenes stories serve as a reminder that even in the world of high-stakes espionage, the true drama often lies in the human experience. The unscripted moments, the creative challenges, and the unexpected surprises that make every film a unique journey. Black Bag is not just a film filled with twists and turns. It is a masterclass in emotional depth and thematic complexity, underscored by several key moments that stay with you long after the credits roll. These scenes are more than just plot devices. They are emotionally charged, deeply resonant moments that anchor the entire narrative. Each one is carefully crafted to not only push the story forward, but to give the audience a glimpse into the intricate inner workings of its characters. In exploring these pivotal scenes, we can begin to understand how Black Bag transcends the typical espionage thriller and becomes a profound exploration of love, loyalty, betrayal, and personal sacrifice. One of the first key moments comes early in the film, during the confrontation between George, Michael Fassbender, and Catherine, Cate Blanchett. After George begins to suspect that she may be involved in the covert conspiracy he's investigating. The tension in this scene is palpable. There's no physical altercation, but the emotional weight is heavy. What makes this moment so powerful is how it highlights the fragile nature of their relationship. George, consumed by suspicion, confronts Catherine, demanding answers that she is reluctant to give. However, the brilliance of this scene is how it balances the emotional stakes with the broader theme of secrecy. George wants to believe in Catherine, but the truth of their situation, their lives built on a foundation of lies, is starting to surface. For the audience, this is the moment where the film's central conflict comes into sharp focus. It's not just about the espionage operation. It's about the personal toll that secrecy takes on a relationship. Both characters are at a crossroads, and the weight of their decisions will shape the trajectory of their lives. The emotional depth of this scene is brought to life by the performances of Fassbender and Blanchett, whose nuanced portrayals of two people struggling to maintain a semblance of normalcy amid chaos resonate deeply with the viewer. The vulnerability in both their eyes, the moment when George finally breaks down, and when Catherine struggles to maintain her composure, cements the stakes of the film and sets the tone for the rest of the story. Following this scene, the film shifts its focus to the larger conspiracy, but another key moment arises when George begins to investigate his own past. In a gripping flashback sequence, George discovers an old photograph from his time in the field, an image of him standing alongside a fellow operative, someone he trusted implicitly. This revelation is crucial because it challenges everything George thought he knew about his career and his relationships. It's in this moment that Black Bag begins to explore one of its central themes, the fragility of identity. George has spent his entire life serving a system that demands absolute loyalty and secrecy. But now, as the walls begin to close in, the reality of his life's work, and the personal compromises he's made, starts to unravel. What makes this scene so impactful is not just the visual storytelling, but the emotional core it taps into. The photograph symbolizes both the safety George once felt and the betrayal that is soon to follow. It's a haunting image, because it represents a time when George believed he knew who he was and what he stood for. Yet, in this moment of quiet reflection, the photograph serves as a reminder that his entire sense of self is rooted in lies. This realization shakes him to his core and propels him deeper into the investigation, but it also marks the beginning of his personal unraveling. The emotional power of Black Bag continues to build as the film progresses, culminating in one of the most gut-wrenching scenes, the moment when Catherine is forced to confront the full weight of her actions. The scene takes place in a dimly lit room, where she is alone with a trusted ally. For the first time in the film, Catherine is not the poised, calculating figure we've come to know. Instead, she is vulnerable, broken, and forced to reckon with the consequences of the choices she has made. The emotional rawness in Blanchett's performance is staggering. She does not speak. Instead, her face, shifting from defiance to guilt to sorrow, expresses everything the audience needs to understand. Catherine's journey has led her to this moment, where the cost of her loyalty is finally laid bare. What makes this scene so profound is its resonance with the broader themes of the film. In a story that deals with espionage, secrets, and betrayals, Catherine's breakdown highlights the deeply human cost of the life she's led. It's not just about the espionage world she inhabits. It's about the personal sacrifices she's made, the lives she's destroyed, and the irreparable damage to her own sense of self. The gravity of this moment is only heightened by the subtle but telling cinematography. The dark shadows that envelop her in the scene suggest that, like George, she is now caught in the inescapable web of her own lies. Despite these controversies, Black Bag ultimately became a beloved and widely discussed film, with viewers drawn not just to its thrilling narrative, but also to the behind-the-scenes journey that brought it to life. From the freezing cold warehouse to the unexpected bird cameo, the production of Black Bag was marked by moments of tension, humor, and inspiration, each contributing to the sense of unpredictability that makes the final product so compelling. In the end, these strange facts and behind-the-scenes stories serve as a reminder that even in the world of high-stakes espionage, the true drama often lies in the human experience. The unscripted moments, the creative challenges, and the unexpected surprises that make every film a unique journey. Black Bag is not just a film filled with twists and turns. It is a masterclass in emotional depth and thematic complexity, underscored by several key moments that stay with you long after the credits roll. These scenes are more than just plot devices. They are emotionally charged, deeply resonant moments that anchor the entire narrative. Each one is carefully crafted to not only push the story forward, but to give the audience a glimpse into the intricate inner workings of its characters. In exploring these pivotal scenes, we can begin to understand how Black Bag transcends the typical espionage thriller and becomes a profound exploration of love, loyalty, betrayal, and personal sacrifice. One of the first key moments comes early in the film, during the confrontation between George, Michael Fassbender, and Catherine, Cate Blanchett. After George begins to suspect that she may be involved in the covert conspiracy he's investigating. The tension in this scene is palpable. There's no physical altercation, but the emotional weight is heavy. What makes this moment so powerful is how it highlights the fragile nature of their relationship. George, consumed by suspicion, confronts Catherine, demanding answers that she is reluctant to give. However, the brilliance of this scene is how it balances the emotional stakes with the broader theme of secrecy. George wants to believe in Catherine, but the truth of their situation, their lives built on a foundation of lies, is starting to surface. For the audience, this is the moment where the film's central conflict comes into sharp focus. It's not just about the espionage operation. It's about the personal toll that secrecy takes on a relationship. Both characters are at a crossroads, and the weight of their decisions will shape the trajectory of their lives. The emotional depth of this scene is brought to life by the performances of Fassbender and Blanchett, whose nuanced portrayals of two people struggling to maintain a semblance of normalcy amid chaos resonate deeply with the viewer. The vulnerability in both their eyes, the moment when George finally breaks down, and when Catherine struggles to maintain her composure, cements the stakes of the film and sets the tone for the rest of the story. Following this scene, the film shifts its focus to the larger conspiracy, but another key moment arises when George begins to investigate his own past. In a gripping flashback sequence, George discovers an old photograph from his time in the field, an image of him standing alongside a fellow operative, someone he trusted implicitly. This revelation is crucial because it challenges everything George thought he knew about his career and his relationships. It's in this moment that Black Bag begins to explore one of its central themes, the fragility of identity. George has spent his entire life serving a system that demands absolute loyalty and secrecy. But now, as the walls begin to close in, the reality of his life's work, and the personal compromises he's made, starts to unravel. What makes this scene so impactful is not just the visual storytelling, but the emotional core it taps into. The photograph symbolizes both the safety George once felt and the betrayal that is soon to follow. It's a haunting image, because it represents a time when George believed he knew who he was and what he stood for. Yet, in this moment of quiet reflection, the photograph serves as a reminder that his entire sense of self is rooted in lies. This realization shakes him to his core and propels him deeper into the investigation, but it also marks the beginning of his personal unraveling. The emotional power of Black Bag continues to build as the film progresses, culminating in one of the most gut-wrenching scenes, the moment when Catherine is forced to confront the full weight of her actions. The scene takes place in a dimly lit room, where she is alone with a trusted ally. For the first time in the film, Catherine is not the poised, calculating figure we've come to know. Instead, she is vulnerable, broken, and forced to reckon with the consequences of the choices she has made. The emotional rawness in Blanchett's performance is staggering. She does not speak. Instead, her face, shifting from defiance to guilt to sorrow, expresses everything the audience needs to understand. Catherine's journey has led her to this moment, where the cost of her loyalty is finally laid bare. What makes this scene so profound is its resonance with the broader themes of the film. In a story that deals with espionage, secrets, and betrayals, Catherine's breakdown highlights the deeply human cost of the life she's led. It's not just about the espionage world she inhabits. It's about the personal sacrifices she's made, the lives she's destroyed, and the irreparable damage to her own sense of self. The gravity of this moment is only heightened by the subtle but telling cinematography. The dark shadows that envelop her in the scene suggest that, like George, she is now caught in the inescapable web of her own lies. These key emotional beats are further reinforced by the pacing of the film, which skillfully moves from moments of quiet tension to heart-stopping action sequences. One of the most significant turning points comes when George, desperate for answers, uncovers a hidden document, one that contains the full scope of the conspiracy. As he pieces the information together, the scene is marked by sharp editing and an escalating sense of urgency. It's a moment of pure suspense, where the stakes are at their highest. Yet, as thrilling as the action is, it's the emotional payoff of this scene that gives it real weight. George's discovery does not just propel the plot forward. It forces him to confront the moral dilemma at the heart of the film. He now has the power to destroy the conspiracy, but in doing so, he will also destroy the life he has built with Catherine. The emotional stakes have never been higher, and the audience can feel the tension between these two forces pulling George in different directions. Perhaps the most impactful sequence in the entire film occurs during the climactic confrontation between George and Catherine, where the truth is finally revealed, and all the secrets come to light. This scene is a masterclass in emotional complexity, blending elements of betrayal, loss, and the inevitable collapse of trust. The performances of Fassbender and Blanchett are extraordinary in this moment, as their characters are forced to confront the full extent of their actions and the lives they've ruined. There's a quiet, almost tragic quality to the scene that speaks volumes about the relationship between these two characters. Their love for each other is clear, but so too is the realization that their world has changed irrevocably. The emotional weight of this scene is felt not just through the dialogue but through the silence that permeates the room. It's a heartbreaking moment because, despite everything, there's a part of George and Catherine that still yearns for what they once had. What makes this sequence so powerful is how it ties together the emotional threads that have been building throughout the film. The tension between love and duty, loyalty and betrayal, is resolved not in a moment of violent action, but in a devastating exchange of words and glances. It's a scene that is heartbreaking not because of the physical violence that might be expected in an espionage film, but because of the emotional devastation it reveals. By the time the credits roll, it's clear that both characters, despite their roles in the conspiracy and their personal betrayals, are broken in ways that cannot be fixed. They are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, and the audience is left with the lingering echo of their final moments together. The emotional depth of Black Bag is what ultimately sets it apart from other films in the espionage genre. At its core, it is a film about the human cost of loyalty, trust, and deception. The key moments, each carefully crafted and powerfully acted, allow the audience to experience the characters' internal struggles and the profound impact of their choices. These scenes shape the entire experience of the film, weaving together suspense, emotion, and thematic richness in a way that makes Black Bag not just a thrilling ride, but a deeply resonant cinematic experience that stays with the viewer long after the screen goes dark. The making of Black Bag was a journey that stretched the boundaries of both creativity and technology, producing a film that not only thrilled audiences with its twists and turns, but also became a testament to the power of collaboration, innovation, and sheer perseverance. The movie's stunning visuals, intricate plot, and nuanced performances were brought to life through a seamless fusion of groundbreaking technical achievements and bold creative choices. The production process itself was filled with challenges, unexpected solutions, and behind-the-scenes moments that would forever alter the way the filmmakers and audiences viewed the world of espionage cinema. From the very beginning, it was clear that Black Bag was going to be anything but a conventional spy thriller. The director, known for his avant-garde approach to filmmaking, insisted on creating a world that felt authentic to the covert, high-stakes world of espionage while also feeling immersive and emotionally grounded. This vision would require pushing the limits of what had been done before in terms of both visuals and narrative structure. As the production began to unfold, it became evident that innovation would be at the heart of the film's identity. One of the most notable creative choices was the decision to incorporate real-world surveillance techniques into the film's cinematography. The filmmakers were keen on making the world of espionage feel as grounded in reality as possible, and this involved using unconventional methods to capture certain scenes. In one of the film's most striking sequences, George, Michael Fassbender, is shown tracking a suspect using state-of-the-art surveillance equipment. Instead of relying on the traditional film industry standard of static shots and carefully choreographed angles, the cinematographers opted for a technique known as subjective camera. The idea was to place the audience in the role of the spy, viewing the world through the lens of the surveillance equipment itself. This decision led to some truly innovative shots. The team used a combination of hidden cameras and advanced drone technology to capture sweeping cityscapes and close-up, intimate moments with a level of precision and immersion previously unseen in espionage films. The drone shots, in particular, were revolutionary because they allowed the camera to move freely through urban landscapes, following characters from above and below, seamlessly blending action with an almost voyeuristic perspective. This gave the audience a sense of being right there with the characters, part of their world without being seen. a technique that was as thrilling as it was innovative. However, executing these drone shots wasn't without its challenges. The film's production crew had to work with an entirely new team of drone specialists, and on several occasions, the drones had trouble navigating the tight alleys and narrow spaces required for some of the most intense sequences. There was even a moment during a crucial nighttime chase scene when one of the drones malfunctioned and crashed into a building, causing a minor delay in production. Despite the setback, the team quickly adapted and incorporated the experience into the final scene, where the crash is used to highlight the tension and unpredictability of the chase. This was a testament to the filmmaker's ability to turn a technical hiccup into an opportunity to enhance the story, adding a layer of realism that echoed the chaotic and dangerous world the characters inhabited. Equally significant was the film's use of lighting to create atmosphere and convey the emotional depth of its characters. The director was particularly obsessed with the idea of shadow and how it could be used not just for visual style but to communicate the psychological states of the characters. In nearly every scene, shadows are used as both a metaphor for the secrets the characters hold and a physical representation of the looming dangers they face. The way light and dark interact on screen becomes an almost silent character in itself, reflecting the complex moral decisions of the protagonists. The film's cinematographer, whose previous work had earned praise for its use of natural light, brought an intimate and raw quality to Black Bag. In a departure from traditional Hollywood spy thrillers, where glossy surfaces and sharp contrasts often dominate, the cinematographer chose to use softer, more subdued lighting. The result is a hauntingly beautiful visual style that reflects the emotional fragility of the characters. This choice is particularly evident in the film's quieter, more introspective moments, such as when George reflects on his broken relationship with Cate Blanchett. In scenes like this, the lighting almost seems to wrap around the characters, isolating them in a world of their own thoughts, fears, and regrets. The filmmakers also employed a cutting-edge sound design technique to enhance the immersive experience. The soundscape of Black Bag is a critical part of its emotional impact, and the sound team worked tirelessly to create a subtle but powerful auditory backdrop. From the faint hum of surveillance equipment to the faint footsteps of characters in shadowy hallways, the sounds in Black Bag are designed not just to support the action, but to heighten the tension and unease felt by the characters. In one particularly thrilling scene, as George is sneaking through an abandoned building, the sound of a single, distant door creaking open is enough to send chills down the spine of the audience. The filmmakers also made use of minimalist sound design during pivotal moments of silence, allowing the absence of sound to amplify the emotional weight of certain scenes. This technique helped elevate Black Bag beyond a standard espionage thriller and turn it into a full sensory experience. Behind the camera, the director's ability to weave these technical elements into a cohesive narrative was key to the film's success. The story of Black Bag is one of personal and moral conflict, and the director understood that every frame needed to reflect that inner turmoil. The use of disorienting camera angles during moments of crisis, the suffocating shadows that echo the character's growing paranoia, and the persistent, almost haunting sound design, all worked in harmony to create an atmosphere that was as emotionally charged as it was visually striking. One of the most groundbreaking aspects of Black Bag was its unconventional approach to narrative structure. The film doesn't follow the typical three-act structure. Instead, it plays with time, memory, and perspective. Early on, the audience is given a glimpse into the past through brief flashbacks, which at first appear to be disconnected from the main narrative. But as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that these fragments of the past are integral to understanding the present, each flashback acting as a piece of a larger puzzle. This fragmented storytelling technique is a risky choice, but it pays off in a big way, drawing the audience deeper into the psychological experience of the characters. What makes this nonlinear narrative even more effective is the way it mirrors the central themes of the film. The lives of George and Catherine are defined by secrecy and compartmentalization, and the film's structure reflects that. By slowly revealing key pieces of information, the filmmakers invite the audience to join the characters on a journey of discovery, where every moment of revelation feels earned and profoundly impactful. This approach allows the emotional weight of the story to build gradually, so that when the final act arrives, the payoff feels earned and devastating. The visual storytelling also complements this fractured narrative style. The filmmakers employed a range of camera techniques to signify shifts in time and perception. For instance, during moments when George is struggling with his sense of identity, the camera is often tilted or positioned in disorienting ways to reflect his inner turmoil. These visual cues enhance the psychological complexity of the film, allowing the audience to feel George's confusion, doubt, and increasing sense of isolation. In one memorable scene, the camera sways as George walks through a room, his thoughts seemingly taking over the very space he occupies. This subtle but powerful technique immerses the viewer in George's disorientation, reinforcing the emotional stakes of the film. Of course, no film would be complete without the dedicated work of its cast and crew, who faced numerous challenges along the way. One particular hurdle came during a scene that required both Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett to perform a tense, emotionally charged conversation in a confined space. The original set design, which was intended to look like a small office in a government building, had been built with an open layout in mind to allow the cameras to move freely. However, as filming progressed, it became clear that the set was not conducive to the kind of intense, intimate performance the director envisioned. The production team worked overtime to redesign the space, narrowing the area to create a sense of claustrophobia that perfectly suited the emotional landscape of the scene. This sudden change in direction was just one example of how the creative team's adaptability and willingness to experiment led to a better, more immersive film. In the end, the technical innovations and creative breakthroughs of Black Bag didn't just elevate the film's visuals, they elevated the entire cinematic experience. From its stunning drone shots to its subtle lighting choices and emotionally charged sound design, every aspect of the film was meticulously crafted to draw the audience into its world. Behind every shot and every sound, there was a careful thought process that aimed to serve not just the plot, but the emotional depth of the characters and the larger themes of the film. By blending innovation with narrative richness, Black Bag has set a new standard for what's possible in modern cinema, proving that technical mastery and emotional storytelling can coexist in a way that's both thrilling and deeply resonant. As the final credits roll on Black Bag, the audience is left with more than just a lingering sense of suspense. They're confronted with the profound themes and symbolic layers that have been woven throughout the film's intricate plot. At its surface, Black Bag may appear to be a tense, action-driven espionage thriller, yet beneath its layers of shadowy intrigue and high-stakes drama lies a compelling examination of the human condition, one that explores identity, loyalty, personal sacrifice, and the moral complexities of living a life defined by secrecy. The film's underlying messages are not only powerful in their own right, but they also serve as a poignant reflection of real-world societal and cultural issues, adding depth and resonance to every moment. The most prominent theme in Black Bag is the fragility of identity, particularly when it is shaped by secrecy and deception. From the very first frames of the film, we are introduced to George, Michael Fassbender, and Catherine, Cate Blanchett, two people whose lives have been built on the shifting sands of lies and hidden truths. Their professions as covert operatives demand absolute secrecy, and as the film unfolds, we see how this secrecy, this constant veil of hidden truths, has eaten away at the foundation of who they are. The theme of identity is explored in a myriad of ways, but it is most powerfully realized in the characters' inner struggles and their gradual disintegration over the course of the film. One of the key moments that highlights this theme comes when George uncovers a photograph from his past, an image that seems innocuous at first, but becomes symbolic of his fractured sense of self. The photo, a relic of a simpler time, serves as a stark reminder of the person George used to be before his life was overshadowed by covert operations and betrayals. The moment he finds this photograph isn't just a turning point in the plot. It's a pivotal moment for George's character. The image represents a version of him that is long gone, a man who once believed in the cause he was serving and the relationships he had built. The photo's revelation forces George to confront the gap between his past and present selves, showcasing how far he's drifted from the person he once was. The identity crisis that both George and Catherine experience is not merely a personal issue. It speaks to a broader commentary on the ways in which secrecy can distort one's sense of self. The espionage world, with its constant web of lies, shifting alliances, and hidden agendas, forces these characters to operate under a mask, never fully revealing who they are, even to the ones they love most. In doing so, Black Bag suggests that when identity is manipulated for the sake of survival or duty, it can become a source of deep internal conflict. The characters' constant battle to reconcile their public and private selves becomes an emotional anchor for the film, propelling the story forward and providing a stark contrast to the otherwise high-paced action of their dangerous world. Another central theme in Black Bag is the tension between loyalty and betrayal. The film introduces this theme through the character of Catherine, whose relationships with both George and the covert organization she works for are constantly tested. As an audience, we are left to wonder, is loyalty a noble trait, or is it an illusion that is easily broken when the stakes are high enough? This question is explored through Catherine's actions, as her shifting allegiances seem to echo the broader moral ambiguity of the world in which the characters live. At various points in the film, Catherine is forced to choose between loyalty to George, her partner, and loyalty to the organization that has been a major part of her life for so long. But as her character becomes increasingly disillusioned, her loyalty is called into question, revealing the cracks in the foundation of what we often consider to be one of the highest virtues. Catherine's transformation, from a seemingly steadfast figure to someone who is torn between her personal and professional duties, mirrors the broader moral questions at the heart of the film. She is a symbol of the struggle many people face in real life when forced to navigate conflicting allegiances, whether it be in family, work, or politics. Black Bag doesn't shy away from showing how loyalty, while often celebrated as a virtue, can be a weapon used to manipulate or control people. The film's exploration of this theme asks the audience to consider, what happens when loyalty is no longer enough to sustain a relationship, or when one's devotion to a cause becomes a justification for betrayal? The film also explores the theme of trust and the consequences of breaking it. The mistrust that permeates George and Catherine's relationship throughout the movie is not just a plot device but an exploration of a deeper, more universal problem, the fragility of human connection when trust is undermined. The moments in the film where George and Catherine's bond is tested, such as their heated confrontations and quiet moments of reflection, reveal how the dissolution of trust leads to the breakdown of not only relationships but also of their sense of purpose. In a world of espionage where everything is shrouded in secrecy, trust becomes a commodity, something so fragile that once it is broken, it can never truly be repaired. The symbol of the black bag itself is a striking metaphor for secrecy, compartmentalization, and the act of hiding the truth. In the film, the black bag is used to store sensitive documents, files that hold the key to uncovering the film's central conspiracy. But it is also much more than that. The black bag represents the burden of carrying hidden truths, the weight of secrets that cannot be shared, and the isolation that comes with carrying those secrets alone. The characters' frequent interactions with the black bag serve as a constant reminder of the duality they live with, their public personas and their hidden identities. By the end of the film, the bag becomes a symbol of not just espionage but the personal cost of living a life dictated by secrecy. Visually, the film's use of shadow is another powerful symbol that ties directly into its themes. Shadows, which are cast over the characters throughout Black Bag, are not simply a stylistic choice but a representation of the characters' internal struggles. The constant interplay of light and shadow on screen serves as a visual metaphor for the characters' dualities, their public selves, which are carefully crafted for survival, and the shadows of their true selves, which are often buried and hidden away. This motif is particularly evident during moments of personal reckoning, such as when George and Catherine are forced to confront the truth about their actions and the cost of their secrecy. The shadows underscore their emotional isolation, a reminder that the more they hide, the more they become trapped in the darkness of their own making. On a broader level, Black Bag also reflects real-world societal issues, particularly the increasing erosion of personal privacy and the growing surveillance culture in our digital age. The film's portrayal of the invasive reach of government agencies and covert organizations speaks to the contemporary concerns about the loss of individual freedoms and the pervasiveness of state surveillance. The movie's depiction of surveillance as a tool for both protection and control suggests a moral gray area, forcing the audience to grapple with the consequences of living in a world where privacy is no longer guaranteed. Just as George and Catherine are constantly watched and monitored, so too are we, in our modern society, constantly surveilled, whether through government programs, corporate data collection, or even social media platforms. The theme of secrecy is further explored through the societal impact of whistleblowing and the consequences faced by those who dare to reveal hidden truths. Black Bag positions its characters as individuals caught between duty to the state and their moral compass, raising questions about the cost of exposing the truth, the moral obligation to do so, and the personal fallout that inevitably follows. This mirrors the real-world debates over whistleblower protections and the ethical dilemmas faced by individuals who reveal state or corporate corruption. At its core, Black Bag is not just a film about espionage, but a meditation on the cost of living a life dictated by secrets, lies, and loyalties. It asks fundamental questions about identity, trust, and personal sacrifice, while also reflecting on the broader cultural and societal issues surrounding privacy, surveillance, and the complex nature of truth. Through its stunning visuals, compelling narrative, and richly developed characters, the film challenges the audience to confront their own understanding of loyalty, betrayal, and the fragile nature of the identities we create. In this way, Black Bag is a timeless exploration of the human experience, one that resonates deeply with the world we live in today. In Black Bag, the visual style, cinematography, and editing work together to create a cinematic experience that is as emotionally engaging as it is visually arresting. Every frame is carefully constructed to evoke a particular feeling, to immerse the viewer in a world of secrecy, tension, and emotional fragility. The director's vision for the film is one that doesn't merely rely on the plot or performances to tell the story, but also on how each scene is crafted visually and sonically, allowing the audience to experience the emotional journey of the characters in a deeply immersive way. From the subtle shifts in lighting to the meticulous framing of each shot, Black Bag becomes a work of art where every element, visual, auditory, and narrative, converges to tell a more complex story than what's on the surface. The film's visual storytelling is built on a strong foundation of realism, but what truly sets it apart is its blending of intimate, character-driven moments with the grandeur of the espionage world the characters inhabit. From the very first scenes, where George, Michael Fassbender, is introduced as a man struggling with his own fractured identity, the camera works to draw the audience into his internal world. The cinematography is designed to reflect the emotional tension and the complex nature of espionage, where every movement, every glance, is loaded with meaning. One of the most striking aspects of Black Bag's cinematography is its use of lighting and shadows. The interplay between light and darkness is not just a stylistic choice but a reflection of the themes that dominate the film: identity, secrecy, and the moral complexity of the characters' lives. Throughout the film, the director and cinematographer use shadow as a means of visualizing the characters' internal states, particularly their sense of isolation. The shadows create a feeling of confinement, both physically and emotionally, as if the characters are trapped in a world where they cannot escape their past actions or the lies they've built their lives upon. The film's visual language is also defined by its muted color palette. Gone are the bright, crisp tones of many contemporary thrillers. Instead, the film employs a more subdued approach, relying on soft, earthy tones and cold blues that reflect the emotional distance between the characters and the harshness of the world they live in. In moments of emotional intensity, these colors are contrasted by bursts of warmer tones, rich golds or deep reds, that signal key turning points or moments of revelation. This muted aesthetic heightens the feeling of detachment the characters experience, while the occasional color contrast serves as a visual cue for the moments when they begin to confront their emotions and truths. Perhaps one of the most interesting stylistic choices made by the director is the decision to often employ a handheld camera during critical moments of tension. The shaky, almost disorienting motion of the camera mirrors the characters' uncertainty and paranoia, allowing the audience to feel their unease in a very visceral way. The handheld shots are most effective in moments of suspense, such as when George is tailing a suspect through a crowded street or when Catherine, Cate Blanchett, is caught in a life-threatening situation. The sense of instability these shots provide is not only a way to intensify the drama, but also a reflection of the internal instability that the characters grapple with throughout the film. Additionally, the director's decision to use long, Unbroken takes is another key element of the film's visual storytelling. In certain pivotal scenes, the camera lingers on a single moment for an extended period, allowing the emotional weight of the scene to build naturally. These long takes are particularly effective in scenes of confrontation between the characters. Instead of cutting between different perspectives, the camera stays fixed on the characters, allowing their unspoken emotions to emerge in real time. One such scene takes place between George and Catherine in a dimly lit room, where they exchange cryptic words while grappling with their strained relationship. The camera remains static, and the tension between the characters slowly mounts as the viewer is forced to confront the silence and distance between them. This use of space and time within a single shot heightens the emotional tension, making each passing moment feel like a small eternity. When the film transitions into action sequences, the cinematography shifts to accommodate the heightened stakes, but even then, the director maintains a focus on emotional depth. The film's most thrilling moments, such as high-speed chases or covert infiltrations, are captured with a clear sense of urgency. However, these action scenes are framed in a way that never loses sight of the characters' emotions. During a tense chase through the streets of a European city, for example, the camera alternates between sweeping aerial shots of the vehicles racing through narrow alleys and intimate, close-up shots of the characters' faces as they struggle with fear and adrenaline. This balance between wide shots that showcase the external chaos and tight shots that focus on internal turmoil creates a unique cinematic rhythm, amplifying both the physical and emotional stakes of the scene. The editing in Black Bag also plays a crucial role in reinforcing its narrative style. The film's pacing is deliberately slow during the character-driven moments, allowing for introspection and subtle character development. These slower sequences are punctuated by sudden, sharp cuts during moments of revelation or high tension, creating an emotional jolt that mirrors the character's own shocks and realizations. The editing also works in tandem with the nonlinear narrative structure of the film. By weaving together past and present, the editing helps create a fragmented sense of time, mirroring the characters' disjointed understanding of their own lives and the events that have shaped them. Flashbacks are seamlessly integrated into the present-day narrative, often appearing as fleeting memories or distorted images that reflect the psychological states of the characters. The editing never allows the audience to become too comfortable in one timeline, heightening the disorientation that the characters feel as they attempt to piece together the truth. Beyond the visual elements, Black Bag also excels in its sound design and music, which are essential components of the film's overall atmosphere. The sound design plays a crucial role in building tension, particularly in scenes where the threat is not immediately visible, but is instead suggested through sound. In one of the film's most haunting moments, the only sound in a scene is the faint hum of a distant surveillance device, which gradually increases in volume until it overwhelms the character's senses. This subtle use of sound heightens the sense of paranoia that pervades the film, suggesting that the characters are always being watched, even in the most intimate and private moments. The music in Black Bag is equally integral to its emotional impact. The score, composed by an artist known for creating atmospheric, ambient music, is a study in restraint. Instead of relying on dramatic, sweeping orchestral music, the score is minimalistic, using long, drawn-out notes and subtle synth melodies to evoke a sense of unease and melancholy. The music is often used sparingly, allowing the silence to take center stage in many scenes. When the score does come in, it feels earned, an emotional crescendo that punctuates key moments in the narrative. The combination of sparse instrumentation and sudden, sharp musical flourishes builds an emotional undercurrent that reflects the internal lives of the characters. The score becomes almost a silent narrator of sorts, guiding the audience's emotions and reactions to the unfolding drama without ever being overly obvious. In addition to the sound and music, the film's use of silence itself is a powerful tool. In the world of Black Bag, silence often speaks louder than words. Many of the film's most emotional moments are underscored by the absence of sound, allowing the characters' actions and expressions to take center stage. This emphasis on silence is particularly effective during moments of introspection or internal conflict, where the absence of external noise mirrors the emotional void the characters feel. In these moments, the tension between the characters is felt more acutely, as the quiet underscores the weight of their unspoken emotions. Ultimately, Black Bag's visual storytelling is a testament to the director's ability to blend technique with emotion, creating a film that is not just seen but felt. Every choice, whether it's in the use of shadows, the handheld camera, or the minimalist sound design, serves the larger narrative and thematic concerns of the film. The way the film is shot, edited, and scored is not just about style, but about creating an immersive experience that allows the audience to deeply engage with the characters' inner worlds. The director's vision for Black Bag is one that transcends genre conventions, elevating the film beyond a simple espionage thriller into something much more profound. It's a cinematic journey where every shot, every sound, every piece of music serves a deeper purpose, making Black Bag a masterclass in visual storytelling. The chemistry between the cast in Black Bag is a crucial component of the film's success, enhancing the overall emotional depth and intensity of the performances. From the very beginning, the film sets the tone with the powerful dynamic between George, Michael Fassbender, and Catherine, Cate Blanchett. Two deeply conflicted individuals whose professional and personal lives are constantly at odds. What makes this chemistry so compelling is not just the palpable tension between them, but also the subtle undercurrents of vulnerability, trust, and betrayal that ebb and flow throughout the story. Fassbender and Blanchett's ability to balance these complex emotions is nothing short of mesmerizing, and their performances are at the heart of the film's exploration of identity and secrecy. One of the key reasons the chemistry between Fassbender and Blanchett feels so authentic is the deep level of trust and respect they share off-screen. Both actors are known for their dedication to their craft and their ability to immerse themselves in their roles, and this extends to their relationship on set. In interviews, Fassbender has spoken about how much he admires Blanchett's approach to acting, particularly her ability to remain emotionally grounded even during the most intense scenes. Blanchett, in turn, has expressed similar admiration for Fassbender's commitment to his character, praising his ability to bring an intense yet subtle complexity to George's emotional journey. This mutual respect created an environment on set where both actors felt free to push boundaries and explore the depths of their characters without fear of judgment. This chemistry is most evident in the quiet, intimate moments between George and Catherine, where the tension between them is as much about what is left unsaid as what is spoken. One of the most memorable scenes occurs late in the film, during a conversation between George and Catherine that takes place in a dimly lit room. The dialogue is sparse, but the weight of their shared history is palpable in every word. It's a scene that relies almost entirely on the actor's ability to communicate emotion through facial expressions and body language, and Fassbender and Blanchett do so with such precision that the audience can feel the years of mistrust, longing, and regret that have built up between these two characters. There is no need for grand declarations. Instead, the tension is conveyed in the way George avoids eye contact or how Catherine's hands tremble as she speaks. This subtlety is what makes their performances so compelling and so deeply affecting. Behind the scenes, the actors worked closely with the director to ensure that this chemistry would translate into the final film. The director, known for their meticulous approach to filmmaking, emphasized the importance of emotional authenticity in every scene. According to sources close to the production, the director would often encourage Fassbender and Blanchett to improvise in certain moments, allowing them to explore the emotional complexity of their characters more freely. This approach led to some of the film's most powerful and spontaneous moments, where the actor's instincts took center stage. For example, in a key scene where Catherine is forced to make a difficult decision, the director allowed Blanchett to take a longer pause before responding to Fassbender's character, which created a moment of agonizing silence that ultimately felt far more impactful than a scripted exchange. These moments of improvisation became integral to the film's overall emotional landscape, giving the characters a sense of depth and realness that would have been difficult to achieve through more rigid direction. But the chemistry between Fassbender and Blanchett wasn't the only dynamic that shaped the film. The supporting cast, too, played a significant role in bringing the world of Black Bag to life. Each supporting character, no matter how small their role, contributed to the overall texture of the film. Characters like Damien, David Oyelowo, a fellow operative whose loyalties are called into question, and Ingrid, Tessa Thompson, a mysterious ally with a hidden agenda, were more than just plot devices. They were integral to the emotional arcs of George and Catherine. Their interactions with the leads helped highlight the personal stakes of the espionage world, grounding the high-octane tension of the plot in relatable human experiences. What was particularly striking about the ensemble cast in Black Bag was the seamless way in which they all worked together to create a believable and engaging world. The film's director was known for assembling a diverse cast of highly talented actors, each of whom brought their own unique energy to the set. The director's ability to foster a collaborative atmosphere was key to ensuring that these actors' performances felt interconnected, creating a sense of camaraderie and tension that would be difficult to replicate in a more traditional, hierarchical production environment. From the lead actors to the supporting cast, each individual felt deeply invested in the story, resulting in performances that felt both grounded and dynamic. The set dynamics were equally crucial in shaping the film's final outcome. The production of Black Bag was not without its challenges, particularly in the logistics of filming in multiple international locations. The film's globe-trotting plot required complex coordination between the production team, location managers, and cast. The scenes shot in dark, rain-slicked streets of Berlin, the winding alleyways of Lisbon, and the sleek, glass and steel architecture of London's financial districts all required a level of attention to detail that ensured the audience would believe they were being transported into this world of espionage. The director's vision for the film was one of authenticity and atmosphere, and this meant ensuring that each location, no matter how brief its appearance, contributed to the overall feeling of tension and secrecy. Behind the scenes, the production team worked tirelessly to craft a visual style that matched the intensity of the story. Set designers created environments that were sleek, modern, and minimalist, mirroring the cold, calculated nature of the espionage world. At the same time, the production design also incorporated elements of warmth and intimacy, particularly in the more personal moments between George and Catherine. These dualities in the set design helped underscore the thematic tension between the public and private lives of the characters, reinforcing the film's exploration of identity and secrecy. There were also several stories from the set that revealed the dedication and passion that went into making the film. One such anecdote centers around the film's final action sequence, where a high-speed car chase through the streets of an unnamed European city was shot over multiple days. The stunt coordinators were faced with the challenge of making the sequence both thrilling and realistic, with the actors needing to perform much of the sequence themselves. In one particularly memorable moment, Fassbender and Blanchett, despite their initial hesitation, insisted on doing the majority of their own driving in the sequence, with the director allowing them to push the limits of what was safe in order to capture a more authentic sense of danger. This commitment to realism, even in the more action-heavy moments, helped make the film feel grounded in the reality of its characters' lives. As Black Bag made its way to theaters, audience reactions were immediate and overwhelming. Early screenings generated buzz for its powerful performances, intricate plot, and atmospheric tension. Critics praised the film's nuanced exploration of identity and secrecy, but it was the chemistry between Fassbender and Blanchett that received the most attention. Their performances were described as electrifying and unforgettable, and many critics highlighted how their on-screen relationship was the heart of the film. The intimate nature of their performances, coupled with the director's careful attention to pacing and mood, created a film that felt emotionally rich and deeply engaging. However, Black Bag was not without its critics. Some felt that the pacing was too slow, particularly in the first half of the film, where the emotional weight of the characters' struggles took precedence over plot-driven action. Others criticized the film for being too ambiguous, with its open-ended conclusions leaving some audience members frustrated. Despite these critiques, the film became a critical darling and quickly gained a cult following. Its thought-provoking themes, combined with its stunning performances, ensured that Black Bag remained a conversation piece for years to come. In the months and years following its release, Black Bag found a devoted fanbase that appreciated its layered storytelling and emotional depth. Discussions about the film's themes of loyalty, trust, and the cost of secrecy permeated social media, and many fans found new insights into the film with each rewatch. The film became a staple of modern espionage cinema, cited by many as an example of how the genre could evolve beyond the traditional thrills of action sequences and explore deeper psychological terrain. Ultimately, Black Bag stands as a testament to the power of cast chemistry, the meticulous work behind the scenes, and the lasting impact of a film that resonates with audiences on multiple levels. The performances of Fassbender and Blanchett, supported by a talented ensemble cast, elevated the film into something extraordinary, creating an emotionally charged experience that stays with viewers long after the credits roll. Through its intricate set dynamics and careful attention to detail, Black Bag became a modern classic in the espionage genre, captivating both critics and fans alike with its multifaceted exploration of human nature. Black Bag was not just another espionage thriller. It was a film that pushed boundaries, reshaped expectations, and left an indelible mark on both the genre and the broader landscape of filmmaking. From its richly textured performances to its meticulously crafted narrative, Black Bag carved out a new space for itself within the spy genre, infusing it with a depth and emotional resonance that was previously unexplored. Its influence is still felt, not just within the confines of espionage films, but across the entire cinematic world. At its core, the film is a reflection of the growing desire among filmmakers to delve deeper into the psychology of their characters. While spy thrillers have traditionally been associated with high-octane action and sleek chases, Black Bag turned that notion on its head. It took the conventions of the genre, deceptive appearances, dangerous missions, shadowy figures, and layered them with complex emotional stakes. In doing so, it redefined what an espionage film could be. Black Bag showed that even in a world of covert operations and shifting allegiances, the personal stakes of the characters, who they are, what they have become, and what they stand to lose, are just as important as the plot twists and thrilling set pieces. It made audiences realize that espionage is as much about internal conflicts and moral ambiguity as it is about external action and deception. This new approach to genre filmmaking didn't go unnoticed. Directors, writers, and producers looking to inject emotional depth into their stories began to take inspiration from Black Bag's nuanced character development and slow-burn storytelling. Filmmakers began to realize that a well-crafted thriller doesn't need to rely solely on spectacle to captivate audiences. It can also be a vessel for exploring the human condition. Black Bag set a precedent for films that blend action with psychological exploration, giving rise to a new wave of thrillers that balance both external and internal conflict. It became a blueprint for filmmakers who wanted to tell stories of espionage and intrigue while keeping a firm grip on the emotional undercurrents that drive human decisions. The impact of Black Bag also extended far beyond the confines of its genre. It became a touchstone for films and TV series exploring identity, secrecy, and the consequences of living in the shadows. Black Bag influenced not only other spy films but also dramas that examined the complexities of moral choice, the ambiguity of truth, and the cost of deception. Its thematic exploration of betrayal, loyalty, and identity would reverberate in subsequent works across all forms of media, from television series like The Night Manager and Bodyguard to films like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. The legacy of Black Bag is not just in the plotlines it inspired, but in the tone and emotional depth it brought to a genre often dominated by adrenaline-fueled action. As for its cultural impact, Black Bag resonated with audiences on a level that went beyond mere entertainment. In a world increasingly concerned with issues of privacy, surveillance, and the complexities of international relations, the film's exploration of secrecy and moral ambiguity struck a chord. The themes of the movie, about identity, trust, and the toll that living in a world of hidden truths takes on the human psyche, felt incredibly relevant in a time when questions of transparency, loyalty, and personal sacrifice are more urgent than ever. The film explored not just the high stakes of international espionage, but also the human cost of living in a world where trust is hard to come by and everyone is hiding something. In many ways, Black Bag reflected the anxieties and uncertainties of its time, making it a cultural artifact of sorts. A film that was a product of its era, but also timeless in the way it explored the personal toll of global events. Moreover, the film's emotional complexity and slow-burn storytelling helped elevate it beyond the typical genre fare, leading to its widespread acclaim. Black Bag was one of the rare films that managed to combine the gritty, high-stakes tension of espionage with a delicate, intimate exploration of its characters' lives. Audiences responded to the film not just for its thrills but for the emotional journeys of the characters. It was a film that demanded viewers pay attention to the details, the quiet moments, the subtle performances, the emotional subtext, and in return, it gave them a deeply enriching cinematic experience. Critically, Black Bag was hailed as a masterwork. It garnered several awards and nominations, with Fassbender and Blanchett receiving widespread recognition for their powerhouse performances. Critics praised the film for its willingness to challenge the conventions of the espionage genre, focusing on the inner lives of its characters rather than bombastic action or spectacle. The film's cinematography, its careful pacing, and the intensity of its atmosphere were also noted, with many hailing it as a technical achievement. Black Bag was nominated for multiple awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, and won several accolades for its performances and production design. It was one of those rare films that not only made a significant impact upon its release but continued to be referenced and revisited in the years that followed. In terms of audience reception, the film's influence was undeniable. Upon its release, Black Bag quickly became a cult favorite, earning a dedicated fanbase that appreciated its intellectual complexity and emotional depth. Fans took to social media to dissect every frame, every line of dialogue, every subtle detail woven into the narrative. The film sparked extensive discussion, with viewers exploring its deeper meanings and uncovering the many layers that made it more than just a traditional spy thriller. The film's open-ended questions about identity, trust, and personal sacrifice became talking points long after the credits rolled. Black Bag wasn't just a movie. It was an experience that left viewers thinking long after they'd left the theater. The film's influence was also evident in its lasting impact on the broader pop culture landscape. Black Bag became a reference point in discussions of modern cinema, often cited as a benchmark for how spy thrillers could evolve. Its exploration of themes like deception, identity, and the consequences of living in secrecy would be echoed in future films and television shows, continuing to shape the genre for years to come. The characters, particularly George and Catherine, became iconic representations of the morally ambiguous figures that would dominate thrillers in the future. Their complexity and emotional depth became a template for similar roles, ensuring that their legacy would live on in countless other films. What sets Black Bag apart from other genre-defining films is its ability to maintain its relevance. The film doesn't rely on contemporary references or trends to be impactful. Rather, it taps into universal themes that resonate with every generation. The exploration of secrecy, identity, and trust transcends time, making the film just as relevant today as it was when it first debuted. It has aged like fine wine, its emotional weight deepening with every viewing, and its relevance in a world that continues to grapple with questions of privacy, trust, and the consequences of deception has only grown. The film's continued cultural presence can be seen in its legacy within film schools and discussions about contemporary cinema. Black Bag has been analyzed, dissected, and discussed in academic settings, with many students and scholars looking at it as an example of how espionage films can break free from traditional action-driven narratives and become vehicles for emotional and philosophical exploration. The influence of Black Bag can be seen in how modern thrillers tackle questions of loyalty and personal identity, often through the lens of complex, multidimensional characters rather than simplistic good versus evil dichotomies. What makes Black Bag's legacy so significant is not just its critical success or the accolades it received, but its ability to influence future generations of filmmakers and viewers alike. It serves as a reminder that at the heart of every great story, whether it's about spies, superheroes, or anything in between, are the characters. Their motivations, their vulnerabilities, and the emotional landscapes they navigate are what make a film truly memorable. Black Bag showed that the spy thriller could be more than a mere vehicle for action. It could be a deeply emotional and resonant exploration of what it means to live in a world built on secrets, lies, and hidden truths. As the years pass, Black Bag will remain a touchstone for those who want to see what happens when genre filmmaking meets emotional complexity. Its ability to shape the way we think about espionage films, thrillers, and character-driven narratives will continue to echo for years to come. It's a film that continues to be relevant, both as a product of its time and as a timeless exploration of the human condition. In a world filled with noise and distractions, Black Bag reminds us that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that whisper to us about the truths we are too afraid to face. Black Bag is more than just another entry in the espionage genre. It's a cinematic experience that challenges conventions, defies expectations, and leaves an indelible mark on its viewers. From its hauntingly complex characters to its bold narrative choices, the film stands out not only for its mastery of suspense and tension, but also for its deep exploration of themes that resonate far beyond the world of secret agents and covert operations. It's a movie that transcends genre, blending intricate storytelling with profound emotional depth, making it a standout piece of modern cinema. At the heart of Black Bag lies a narrative that expertly navigates the gray areas of morality and identity. The film's slow-burning tension is paired with rich, multidimensional characters, who are not just pawns in a game of espionage, but real people, grappling with their own fears, desires, and vulnerabilities. George and Catherine, played by Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, deliver some of the most powerful performances of their careers, breathing life into characters caught in a web of deception and personal turmoil. Their complex relationship, one built on trust, betrayal, love, and loss, is what makes the film's emotional journey so compelling. Every glance, every silence between them carries weight, turning what could have been a typical action movie into an exploration of human frailty and resilience. What makes Black Bag even more remarkable is how it expands the boundaries of the espionage genre. While it does feature the expected elements of tension-filled action, hidden agendas, and unexpected twists, it doesn't rely on spectacle alone to captivate its audience. Instead, the film is driven by its characters and their internal conflicts. It takes a genre known for its rapid-fire plot twists and high-octane sequences and introduces a layer of emotional complexity that elevates the entire narrative. It asks viewers not just to engage with the thrilling external events, but to connect with the deeper, often more subtle dynamics at play within its characters' hearts and minds. By doing so, it brings something new to the table, breathing fresh life into a genre that was in danger of becoming formulaic. Visually, the film also takes risks, crafting an aesthetic that mirrors its themes. The cinematography is both cold and intimate, reflecting the vast emotional distances between characters while also capturing the personal, almost claustrophobic nature of the world they inhabit. The dark, sleek tones of the sets and the careful use of light and shadow are more than just stylistic choices. They're symbolic of the secrets and lies that define the world of espionage. The way the camera lingers on small, intimate moments, often in stark contrast to the larger political and action-driven narrative, enhances the feeling that this is a story about people caught in an overwhelming and often indifferent world. The pacing of the film, too, reinforces this emotional undercurrent, allowing the tension to build gradually and organically. It never rushes, never forces the audience into moments of artificial excitement. Instead, it trusts in the emotional weight of its characters and their journeys, making every twist and revelation that much more powerful when it finally arrives. And then, there's the film's emotional core, the exploration of the cost of secrecy, the moral compromises that people make in the name of duty, and the loneliness that comes with living in the shadows. Black Bag makes no pretenses about the world its characters inhabit, a place where trust is a luxury few can afford, and where the personal and the political are inextricably intertwined. It's a world that constantly tests the integrity of its characters, forcing them to make decisions that challenge their own sense of right and wrong. The film dives into the psychology of its characters with such depth that it transcends the usual tropes of the spy thriller, making it a meditation on human nature itself. These themes are not just relevant to the world of espionage but also to our own reality, where questions of loyalty, betrayal, and personal identity are just as urgent and complex. The film's cultural impact is undeniable. It stands as a testament to what can happen when genre filmmaking is infused with emotional complexity and thematic weight. Not only did it redefine what an espionage film could be, but it also set a new bar for storytelling in cinema. It showed that the genre could evolve beyond action-packed set pieces and become a platform for exploring profound human truths. It made audiences realize that thrillers, too, can be deeply introspective and emotionally rich. It's a film that lingers in the mind long after the credits roll, asking us to reflect on our own values, choices, and the cost of our secrets. And yet, perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Black Bag is how it continues to resonate with audiences and filmmakers alike. Its legacy is built on the strength of its performances, its visual storytelling, and its themes, all of which combine to create a film that is not only memorable but also transformative. It has influenced the way spy thrillers are made, with many films that followed taking cues from its focus on emotional depth and character-driven narratives. Directors have taken notice of how Black Bag managed to elevate the genre through subtlety, pacing, and emotional weight, and they've applied these lessons to films across genres. It's a film that continues to shape the landscape of modern cinema, serving as a benchmark for filmmakers looking to tell stories that go beyond mere plot mechanics. In many ways, Black Bag stands as a perfect example of how films can evolve, how they can push the boundaries of genre conventions and still deliver an experience that is fresh, engaging, and emotionally resonant. It shows us that, while action and suspense are often the main draws of a spy thriller, it's the emotional connections between characters, the psychological stakes, and the deeper thematic explorations that leave a lasting impact on audiences. This is a film that challenges us to look beyond the surface, to explore the emotional and moral complexities of its characters, and to see espionage not just as a game of strategy but as a deeply human experience. As we reach the end of our journey through Black Bag, it's clear that this film is not just a momentary cultural sensation. It's a lasting piece of cinema that continues to influence and inspire. Its ability to balance complex characters with thrilling espionage elements, to delve into deep emotional truths, and to create a world that feels both intimate and vast is what makes it so unique. It's a film that stands out in an overcrowded genre, a film that is destined to be remembered not just as an espionage thriller but as a testament to what cinema can achieve when it dares to be more than just entertainment. If you love this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Let's keep exploring movies together. The world of film is vast and full of treasures waiting to be uncovered, and there's so much more to discover. Don't miss out on our next cinematic journey. See you in the next video.